Good morning. Today we're going to be learning Adobe After Effects in just one day. Now, the reason why I thought I'd do this is because I've been putting off learning motion graphics for the longest time, simply because I just don't know how long it's going to take me to learn the software. Now, I've got experience with Premiere Pro, Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. However, Adobe After Effects is just that software that many of us have been dodging for a long time. So today is the perfect opportunity. It's currently 9:49 on Sunday, if that will focus. And I'm going to give myself until about 6 p.m, I think. So we'll see how far we can get. The challenge for today is going to be creating a text reveal logo animation, quite a simple one. An advanced logo animation, which will be turning my Jack Watson Designs logo into quite an animated, funky design, funky animation. And finally, we're going to be creating an animated brand guidelines. So the idea is to purely learn from tutorials out there on YouTube. So I'll be sharing with you the tutorials that I'm going to be watching myself, and I'm going to be showing you the results as we go along. So first of all, text reveal animation. Let's get into it.
So the first tutorial was called How to Animate Any Logo in After Effects tutorial by Logo Animation Service. The reason why I picked this tutorial was because, first of all, it was only 6 minutes long, and second, it achieved the results that I imagined in the first place, which was to ultimately have the text reveal behind a logo. And I can't lie, this was undoubtedly the best tutorial that I possibly could have clicked on first. It went through everything in a nice, slow format, and honestly, it showed me all of the foundations needed to progress on throughout the day with creating more animations. We covered the absolute basics of how to actually import images and create backgrounds on Adobe After Effects. I learned shortcuts, how to use the scale key, position key, use the keyframes, and also how to use masks with the shape tools such as the rectangle tool. By applying all of these things that we've just learned, we created a logo that was quite slow and steady. But then fortunately, they showed us how to use the Easy Ease keyframes. Now by applying this, by using the shortcut function and F9, complemented with adjusting the speed graphs, we created this smooth animation. Now, would I recommend this for you to watch first? Absolutely. It was the best tutorial that I could have watched, and I'm very grateful that I clicked on it first.
So, early into it, we finished our very first ever animation on Adobe After Effects. Here it is. Don't know if you'll be able to see it. If not, I'll put it on the screen, but we learned a few things there. So the keyframing, very similar to Premiere Pro if you've used it. We learned Easy Ease, that seems to be massive. If you don't use Easy Ease on your animations, then your animations will look pretty slow and jagged. They won't look nice and smooth, so that was cool. We also looked at the speed graphs, all good things to note, a few shortcuts in there as well. I feel like now if I was to go back and reanimate another logo from scratch, I'd be able to do it. It was quite an easy tutorial. I mean, that one was only 6 minutes long, so you got to expect an easy tutorial there. So now the challenge is to go and find a harder tutorial, maybe one that takes like 30-40 minutes, animating my logo, which is on the wall over here. We're going to be animating this logo. You might not be able to see it because... So now the plan is to go away, find another video, learn some more. It's currently 10:26, so we're doing well for time. We've still got the majority of the day left, so I'll see you in the next bit.
For the second tutorial, I clicked on this advanced animation, animating a Google logo inside of Adobe After Effects. This is what the title was called, and it was by AG Motion Designs. With it being 11 minutes long, I assumed that this would be a really easy to follow tutorial, and I was completely wrong. In terms of it being beginner friendly, it absolutely wasn't. Compared to the previous video that I recommended, this was very good if you're a beginner with absolutely no experience, whereas this one I had to slow it down to 0.25x and really pay attention to what keys they were pressing. As there was nobody talking through the tutorial, I found this a lot harder to follow, as if you miss one thing, then you're going to struggle with carrying it on through to the end. However, we stuck it through and we managed to learn some really important things here. For example, trim paths, which ultimately created that effect that follows the shape from start to finish, whilst also masking it with something called alpha matte, I believe, which basically allows us to create a rough animation behind the layer and then use it as almost a clipping mask to the actual G which was on top. Animating the circles later on in the video also became a real essential for later on when I start to animate my own personal logo, as now the things that we've learned from the previous video and this Google video, even though this video took 2 hours, it definitely built the foundations to create the next logo. Would I recommend this tutorial? Again, if you're a beginner with not much experience. Like I said earlier, if you missed one of these clicks, then you're going to be looking at your screen thinking, why does mine not look like theirs? But if you're willing to be patient and slow it down to 0.25x, then I would definitely recommend it, because this learnt some really good techniques, especially the importance of motion blur in this. I could clearly see the difference with motion blur and without. So let's take a look at how our animation came out.
Okay, so I've just finished the second animation of the day, which was this advanced Google logo, which took a lot longer than I thought. This was only a 10-minute video, but with no commentary. I'll pop it on screen now, which video it was. So it had no commentary and it was going really fast, so I had to play it in 0.25 speed. And overall, it took 2 hours. However, we learnt some pretty good features on there.
Okay, so when creating the final animation, I wasn't going to go off any YouTube tutorials. However, there was this one tutorial that I watched called Motion Graphics Tutorial Pro Logo Animation in After Effects by Jafar Fazel, and honestly it was really helpful. It had that same idea that I was going for with creating this bouncy ball from the bottom to the top, sticking it in place, and then it could just shape the entire logo design. So what we did was create a shape, being in the circle, created a path to go up and down, used some elastic speed graph style animation to make it look like it was a bouncy ball, and then that brought out the rest of the design, which we used the trim paths for, which we previously learned in the Google animation. So taking a look at all the things that we've learned throughout the day, it really helps create the foundations, which ultimately led us to build this logo.
Okay, so that wraps up the day. We've managed to animate our logo. It's not amazing, but it's definitely progress, and I think considering we just had 1 day to learn motion graphics, it's come out pretty nicely. I'm going to carry on now for the next 6 or 7 days, building on the motion graphics skills, and I'll be back in hopefully a week's time with a new video showcasing you where we're up to, and hopefully we've made some major improvements and we can animate those brand guidelines. So see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this gave you a bit of context whether or not you should start motion graphics immediately or just outsource and hire somebody if you're looking for somebody to create an animation for your agency. So with that being said, catch you in the next video. Thank you for watching.